children are coming.
There is something about Hocus Pocus that never quite let go. It arrived in the summer of 1993 with a premise that should have been disposable. 3 cackling witches, a talking cat, a boy who didn't believe in magic, and somehow became the film an entire generation returns to every October, as if it were a ritual. It was funny and strange and just frightening enough, a film that understood children the way the best family movies always do. It took their fears seriously. But while Salem stayed frozen in memory, the candle lit, the moonlight sharp, the Sanderson sisters shrieking, the people behind it kept changing. Some of them went on to careers that redefined what was possible in this industry. Some quietly stepped away from the spotlight they'd once commanded. Some fought battles the cameras never saw. And one of them is gone in circumstances that still carry the weight of tragedy. These are their stories. Winifred Sanderson is the gravitational center of everything. The fury, the comedy, the terrible hunger. And without an actress of almost freakish charisma, the whole film collapses into pantomime. Born on December 1st, 1945 in Honolulu, Hawaii, Bette Midler was already 47 years old when she stepped into Winifred's pointed hat and green robes, an age at which lesser careers begin to contract. Hers only expanded. What she brought to Winifred wasn't simply energy, though the energy was volcanic. It was the specific intelligence of a performer who has spent decades understanding how to make an audience feel simultaneously delighted and slightly unsafe. Every line reading crackles with something held back, some reserve of malice made hilarious. Winifred is terrifying because Midler played her as a woman who genuinely believes she deserves everything she takes. That conviction, worn as comedy, is what makes her unforgettable. Before Hocus Pocus, Midler had already earned 2 Academy Award nominations, for The Rose in 1979 and for The Boys in 1991, and had built a concert and recording career that made her one of the most celebrated entertainers of her generation. After it, she gave us The First Wives Club, the Las Vegas residency that ran for 2 years at Caesar's Palace, and a 2017 Tony Award for Best Actress for the Broadway revival of Hello, Dolly. A performance so celebrated it became the thing people talked about when they talked about Bette Midler all over again. In 2026, Bette Midler is 80 years old, still here, still formidable, still the kind of presence that makes the air in a room change when she enters it. Winifred endures because Bette Midler made absolute, ravenous conviction feel like the funniest thing in the world. Sarah Sanderson is the dream logic of the film made flesh, beautiful, unmoored, more dangerous than she appears. The witch who lures children not with threats but with a song so sweet, it bypasses every instinct. Sarah Jessica Parker was born on March 25, 1965 in Nelsonville, Ohio, and was 28 years old when filming began. She arrived at Hocus Pocus, having already worked on Broadway and having appeared in Footloose and LA Story, a genuine actress somewhat adrift between the art house and the mainstream, looking for the role that would make the world pay attention. Hocus Pocus wasn't quite that role, not yet. But what Parker gave to Sarah Sanderson is something that gets more impressive the more you look at it. She played the character as if beauty itself were a kind of vacancy, a vessel for something else's will. The way she moved through those scenes, languid and detached and suddenly lethal, was the work of an actress who understood that comedy and menace share the same timing. 5 years after Hocus Pocus, Sex and the City arrived and the world was remade. 4 Emmy nominations, 4 Golden Globes, she became one of the most recognizable women in the world as Carrie Bradshaw, a character as obsessively analyzed as any in television history. She returned to the role in 2 films and then again in And Just Like That, from 2021, navigating a version of that character grown older and changed by loss. She reprised Sarah Sanderson in Hocus Pocus 2 in 2022. In 2026, Sarah Jessica Parker is 61 years old. Sarah Sanderson endures because Sarah Jessica Parker made Desire Without Conscience feel like the most seductive kind of freedom. Mary Sanderson is the heart buried inside the horror, the sister who sniffs out children like a bloodhound and yet somehow never stops feeling like the warmest person in the room, And she works because of the absolute, irresistible humanity Kathy Najimy poured into her. Born on February 6, 1957, in San Diego, California, Najimy was 36 years old when Hocus Pocus filmed. She came to the role fresh off Sister Act, where she'd proven that she could anchor comedy without ever sacrificing warmth. What she did with Mary was stranger and more precise than anything Sister Act asked of her. The character tilts, half beast, half buffoon, and Najimy found the specific physical comedy of a woman permanently off balance, permanently surprised by her own body, permanently devoted to a sister who barely notices her. That devotion, played completely straight inside the absurdity, is what gives the Sanderson sisters their emotional core. Beyond Hocus Pocus, Najimy has remained consistently present across decades of work. She voiced Peggy Hill on King of the Hill for 13 years, appeared in the original Spin City, and has built a second life as one of Hollywood's most visible and committed activists, particularly on LGBTQ+ issues, long before it was fashionable in the industry. She reprised Mary in Hocus Pocus 2. In 2026, Kathy Najimy is 69 years old. Mary endures because Kathy Najimy made blind, unconditional loyalty feel like both the funniest joke in the film and its most human truth. Max is the film's reluctant prophet, the boy who says the words nobody is supposed to say, who lights the black flame candle out of bravado and spends the rest of the film paying for it. And in the hands of Omri Katz, he becomes something more. A teenager we actually believe in. Omri Haim Katz was born on May 30, 1976, in Los Angeles, California, the son of Israeli Jewish immigrants, and was 17 years old when Hocus Pocus filmed. He arrived at the role already carrying years of professional experience. He had spent 8 years as John Ross Ewing III on the primetime soap opera Dallas, a remarkable run for any actor, let alone a child one, and had starred in the cult NBC series Erie, Indiana in 1991. What he gave Max was believable irritation, a genuine teenage sullenness that never tipped into the kind of charm designed to make audiences like him despite himself. Max is annoying. Max is wrong about almost everything, and that's why we root for him so hard. After Hocus Pocus, Katz's acting credits thinned. He appeared in a handful of projects through the late 1990s and early 2000s before stepping away from the industry entirely. He is, by all accounts, retired from acting, living quietly, and notably, now running a cannabis business called the Merry Danksters. In 2026, Omri Katz is 50 years old. Max endures because Omri Katz made being wrong about everything feel like the most honest thing a teenager can be. Danny is the film's moral compass in a witch hat and a vampire cape, the little sister who sees everything clearly, believes without needing proof, and refuses to be dismissed. And Thora Birch delivered a performance at 11 years old that many adult actors would struggle to match. Born on March 11, 1982 in Los Angeles, Birch was just 11 years old when Hocus Pocus filmed. She had already been working professionally since she was 6. A child prodigy by any definition, but Danny showed something different, something less performed, an emotional directness that made every scene she anchored feel weightier than it had any right to. Danny is precocious in the script. In Birch's hands, she is simply confident, and the difference between those two things is everything. What followed Hocus Pocus was one of the most fascinating and ultimately complicated trajectories in contemporary Hollywood. American Beauty in 1999 earned her worldwide recognition and a Golden Globe nomination. Her performance as Jane Burnham, a teenager watching her family dissolve and refusing to pretend otherwise, extraordinary in its restraint. Ghost World in 2001, as the alienated Enid Coleslaw, became a cult classic and a touchstone for a generation of young women who didn't fit the prescribed shape. Then the career slowed, faltered, and stopped, not through any failure of talent. Reports over the years described her domineering father, Jack Birch, a former adult film actor turned aggressive manager, as the reason roles fell through, including a significant incident in which she was removed from an off-Broadway production of Dracula when her father interfered with rehearsals. It is one of Hollywood's quieter, more painful stories. An extraordinary actress whose gifts were real, but whose path kept narrowing. She returned to screens in The Walking Dead from 2019 to 2020 and appeared in The Last Black Man in San Francisco. In 2026, Thora Birch is 44 years old, still working, still carrying within her the qualities that made Dani impossible to look away from. Dani endures because Thora Birch made clarity, the refusal to pretend something isn't real, feel like the bravest thing a child can offer. Allison is the film's quiet center of gravity, the girl who already knows the legends, who takes the supernatural seriously when everyone else is performing skepticism, and Vanessa Shaw gave her a stillness that, in a film full of theatrical fireworks, is its own kind of power. Born on July 19, 1976, in Los Angeles, Shaw was 17 when Hocus Pocus filmed, and she came to the role already a child actress with a handful of credits. What she did with Allison was deliberately understated. While Bette Midler was unleashing theatrical lightning in every frame, Shaw grounded the human story, playing the love interest not as decoration, but as competence. Allison is the one who actually knows things. Shaw understood that the character's function was to make the world feel real, and she did exactly that. Her career afterward was patient and varied. She appeared in Eyes Wide Shut under Stanley Kubrick, worked consistently across the 2000s, and came into her own in the 2010s with roles in the critically praised films Side Effects and Cold in July, and as a compelling presence in the HBO series 2.5 Men and Ray Donovan. She earned her nomination for a Young Artist Award for this role. In 2026, Vanessa Shaw is 49 years old, working steadily in independent film and television. Allison endures because Vanessa Shaw made knowing the truth and holding it calmly feel like a form of courage. Thackeray Binks carries the film's deepest grief, the boy who lost his sister, who was transformed into a cat as punishment for his love, who has watched 3 centuries pass without rest. And his tragedy gives Hocus Pocus the soul underneath its comedy. Sean Harlan Murray was born on November 15, 1977, in Bethesda, Maryland, and was 15 years old when the film shot. His on-screen body appears in the pivotal opening sequence and at the film's close, though his voice, in a creative decision worth knowing about, was dubbed by Jason Marsden for the cat's dialogue throughout. It's a small footnote that doesn't diminish what Murray brought. The opening scenes with Thackeray and his sister Emily carry genuine heartbreak, the kind a director can't manufacture without a young actor willing to go somewhere real. What happened next is one of the more remarkable second acts in this cast's story. Murray went on to join the cast of NCIS in 2003 as Special Agent Timothy McGee, a role he has played for over 2 decades, one of the longest unbroken runs in American network drama. There's an additional layer of serendipity there. McGee's sister on the show is played by Troian Bellisario, his real-life stepsister. In 2026, Sean Murray is 48 years old, and Timothy McGee is still reporting for duty. Thackeray endures because Sean Murray made the weight of 3 centuries of guilt feel like something a 15-year-old could carry honestly. Billy Butcherson is the film's secret, the zombie stitched shut and condemned, who turns out to be not a monster but a wronged man. And under all that latex and prosthetic decay, Doug Jones made him one of the most quietly affecting figures in the story. Born on May 24, 1960, in Indianapolis, Indiana, Jones was 33 when Hocus Pocus filmed. He came to the role as a mime artist and contortionist whose physical vocabulary was unlike anything Hollywood could teach, and it shows in every frame. Billy moves with a broken marionette specificity, the body expressing what the sewn-shut mouth cannot. Jones brings a tenderness to his monster roles that is his signature. It was true in Hocus Pocus, and it has been true across a career that makes him perhaps the most distinctive character performer of his generation. Guillermo del Toro found in Jones a collaborator across multiple films: Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, and In the Shape of Water in 2017, Jones played the amphibian man in a film that won the Academy Award for Best Picture. He starred as Saru in Star Trek Discovery from 2017 to 2024 and appeared in What We Do in the Shadows. He is, by any measure, one of the most prolific and beloved monster performers who has ever worked in this industry. He reprised Billy Butcherson in Hocus Pocus 2. In 2026, Doug Jones is 66 years old. Billy endures because Doug Jones made silence, the eloquence of a body that cannot speak, feel like the most human language in the film. Dave Dennison is Max and Danny's father, cheerful, clueless, the kind of adult Hocus Pocus gently mocks for being so comprehensively useless in a crisis. And Charles Rocket played him with the loose comic timing of a man who had spent a lifetime making people laugh in whatever room he found himself in. Born Charles Adams Clavery on August 28, 1949 in Bangor, Maine, Rocket was 43 years old when Hocus Pocus filmed. He had one of the stranger careers in American entertainment, a cast member on Saturday Night Live during its turbulent 1980-81 season, a period so chaotic it is still studied by television historians, followed by a long career as a reliable comic foil in films including Dances with Wolves, Dumb and Dumber, and It's Pat. He played antagonist network president Dennis Dupree on The Drew Carey Show. He was the kind of performer you recognized before you remembered his name, which is often how the best character actors are experienced. On October 7, 2005, Charles Rocket was found dead in a field near his home in Canterbury, Connecticut. His throat had been cut. He was 56 years old. The state medical examiner ruled the death a possible suicide. There is no way to frame that gently, and no version of this story that makes it easier. A man who spent his life making others laugh died alone in a field in autumn. And the gap he left is felt most clearly when you watch Hocus Pocus and hear his easy, oblivious warmth in every scene. Dave endures because Charles Rocket made cheerful, well-meaning uselessness feel like the most forgivable thing in the world. And because we lost him far too soon. Ernie, known to everyone as Ice, is the bully you remember but can't quite hate, the oversized menace who ends the film dangling in a cage, humiliated and helpless, having contributed almost nothing useful to the story, which is exactly the point. Lawrence Bagby III was born on March 7, 1974 in Marysville, California, and was 19 when Hocus Pocus filmed. He and Tobias Jelinek were discovered within months of each other. Bagby was a teenage actor from Westlake, and their easy, antagonistic chemistry gave Ice and Jay a dimension the script alone probably didn't earn. What Bagby understood instinctively is that the most effective screen bullies are never quite fully convinced of themselves. Ice's aggression has a hollow center, and that hollow center is where the comedy lives. His career after Hocus Pocus was patient and varied. He appeared in Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Larry Blaisdell, had television credits across JAG, Malcolm in the Middle, Cold Case, and CSI, and landed a quietly impressive role as Johnny Cash's bassist Marshall Grant in James Mangold's Walk the Line in 2005. He also had a recurring role on The Young and the Restless. As a musician, he released albums of his own. In recent years, Bagby has channeled the real-world resonance of his most famous role into something meaningful. He and Tobias Jelinek have worked together on anti-bullying initiatives and youth mentorship in the arts. The bully who used to cage kids went on to help free them. In 2026, Larry Bagby is 52 years old. He married Veronique Dumont in 2025. Ice endures because Larry Bagby made Hollow Menace feel like its own kind of vulnerability, and then spent years using that insight to do some actual good. Jay is Ice's shadow, the second bully, the one who laughs a beat after the joke lands because he's never quite sure he understood it. And in Tobias Jelinek's hands, that slight vacancy becomes its own kind of comic gift. Born on March 9, 1977, in Leesburg, Virginia, and raised in Santa Barbara, California, Jelinek was around 16 when Hocus Pocus filmed. He was, by his own account, discovered by a Disney scout during a stage production in Santa Barbara. A teenager who hadn't yet thought seriously about professional acting, but whose presence on stage caught someone's eye. Hocus Pocus was his first professional credit, and he shared every scene in it with the actor who became one of his closest friends. What Jelinek gave Jay wasn't depth, the script didn't require it, but something harder to manufacture. A genuine physical comedy, a body that always seemed slightly out of sync with its own intentions. What happened over the following 3 decades is the more interesting story. Jelinek quietly built a working actor's career across film and television that most people would be surprised by. He appeared in Stranger Things, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as recurring villain Luke, Arrow, Mayfair Witches on AMC, and Obliterated on Netflix. Most notably, he played real-life serial killer Richard Speck in Ryan Murphy's Monsters on Netflix. A leap from Disney bully to a portrait of one of America's most notorious criminals that tells you something about the range he spent 30 years developing. He also founded The Inspired Actor, a Chekhov-based acting lab dedicated to mentorship and craft. In 2026, Tobias Jelinek is 49 years old, still working, still surprising. Jay endures because Tobias Jelinek made being slightly behind the joke feel like its own kind of honesty, and then used 30 years to prove that was just the beginning. Jenny Dennison is the mother who thinks she's at a Halloween party when the world is actually ending around her. Cheerfully oblivious, warmly useless, the adult face of everything Hocus Pocus gently mocks about the grown-ups who are supposed to be in charge. Stephanie Faracy was born on January 1, 1952, in Brooklyn, New York, and was in her early 40s when Hocus Pocus filmed. She came to the role with serious dramatic training, Illinois Wesleyan, then the Yale School of Drama, and a career in film and television that stretched back to 1976, when she made her debut on Laverne and Shirley. By 1993, she had already been in Heaven Can Wait with Warren Beatty, The Great Outdoors, and Blind Date, and had led the sitcom True Colors. What she brought to Jenny Dennison was the comic confidence of a professional who understood exactly what the role required and delivered it without waste. A woman so thoroughly inside her own evening that the supernatural cannot break through. Her career continued across the following decades in ways that reward a closer look. She appeared in Sideways, Flight Plan, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, and How to Get Away with Murder. In 2024, she joined the cast of the Netflix comedy drama Nobody Wants This as Lynn, Kristen Bell's mother, a role that introduced her to an entirely new generation. She also has a recurring role as Maggie in Amazon Prime's Scarpetta, the Nicole Kidman crime series. In 2026, Stephanie Faracy is 74 years old, busier than ever. Jenny endures because Stephanie Faracy made the comedy of cheerful obliviousness feel like something a Yale-trained actress could give genuine dignity. Miss Olin is barely in Hocus Pocus. A few scenes, a classroom, the kind of exasperated authority figure who appears at the margins of stories like this one. And yet, she is played by a woman whose career was so long and so rooted in American popular culture that her presence in this film feels like a benediction. Kathleen Freeman was born on February 17, 1923, in Chicago, Illinois, the daughter of vaudeville performers who put her on stage before she could read. She attended UCLA intending to study piano, got into a play, got a laugh, and never looked back. By the time she appeared in Hocus Pocus, she was 70 years old and had been working in film and television for nearly 5 decades. A career that stretched from Singing in the Rain in 1952 to Jerry Lewis comedies across the 50s and 60s, from the Blues Brothers in 1980 to a voice role in the original DuckTales, from Naked Gun 33 Ford to a late-career Broadway stage career that brought her full circle to where she'd begun. What she gave Miss Olin was economy. Every line placed exactly where it needed to go. Every exasperated look calibrated to produce maximum effect with minimum effort. This is what 50 years of practice looks like. You cannot teach it. You cannot hurry it. You can only earn it. The final chapter of Kathleen Freeman's life carries its own particular grace. She was playing Jeanette Burmeister, the wisecracking piano player in the Broadway production of The Full Monty. Her first Tony Award nomination at age 78 for a performance her co-workers said stopped the show every night. On August 18, 2001, she gave her last performance. 5 days later, on August 23, 2001, she died of lung cancer at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York City. She was 78 years old. She died with a Tony nomination in her hands, doing the thing she had always done, in the place she had always loved. There are worse endings. There are far worse endings than that. Miss Olin endures because Kathleen Freeman made the wisdom of 50 years of craft visible in every unhurried, exquisitely placed moment, and she never stopped earning it, right to the very last night. Time moves through all of us, whether we stand in its current or try to step back from it. The cast of Hocus Pocus went on to live real lives, complicated, surprising, sometimes devastating, sometimes quietly triumphant. And the film they made together in 1993 kept growing in the world without them, becoming something larger than any of them could have predicted on that summer set in Burbank. Some kept shining. Some fought private battles the cameras never saw. Some stepped back from the spotlight and found a different kind of life. And some are now gone, taken too young or taken after a lifetime full enough to make the loss ache in a different way. But every Halloween, when the candle lights and the sisters rise, they are all here again. Exactly as they were, exactly as we remember them. That is what great storytelling does. It makes time stand still. Which character do you remember most from Hocus Pocus? Let us know in the comments below. And if this kind of deep dive is what you come here for, hit that like button and subscribe to Retro Rewind so you never miss the stories behind the stories you grew up loving. We'll see you next time.